the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, which also excited me. I'd immigrated to America from England in 1962. I still vividly remember flying in low over New York Harbor and seeing the Statue of Liberty for the very first time, but I'd never actually been out to the island. So on a freezing cold December morning, we took the ferry out to the Statue of Liberty and then over to Ellis Island, the site where they process so many millions of immigrants. As we got off the ferry, Dwight said to me, "Dad, let's go down and look at the view of Manhattan." I said, "Come on, Dwight, it must be 20 below out here. Let's get into the building where it's warm." He said, "No, Dad, I want to see this. Let's go." So we walked down to the edge of Ellis Island where, standing by the seawall, you get a magnificent view of Manhattan. Wall Street is right ahead of you. The huge towers of the World Trade Center soar above the skyline to the left. Further off to the left, you can see the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, and the Uptown area. We stood there admiring the view when suddenly Dwight said, "Guess what, Dad? Your name's here on the Immigrant Wall of Honor." I looked down, and there on a brass plaque on the top of the seawall was my name on panel 94. Dwight was thrilled to have pulled off the surprise. My children had gotten together and made a contribution to the restoration of Ellis Island and requested my name be placed on the wall. It completely overwhelmed me. It was the nicest thing anyone had ever done for me. I stood there not feeling the cold at all now, just a warm glow. I thought back to all the decisions that had brought me to that point. When I was 20, living in England, I'd begun a good career in a retail chain of appliance stores. Then an opportunity came up to take a job as a photographer on an ocean liner sailing around the world. Looking back, it doesn't seem like a decision worth agonizing over, but I did. For at least a week, I was completely distraught over this decision. Should I stay with the career that was beginning to work out well for me, or should I go for the adventure? I went for the adventure, and it led to settling down in California, getting married, and raising a family. Then my mind suddenly jumped to when I was 36 years old and bogged down in a career with a large corporation. My career wasn't going anywhere, but I just couldn't bring myself to make the decision to leave. For about a year, I agonized over that one. Finally, I took the plunge and went into real estate and made and lost millions as a real estate investor. Then I thought of what happened 6 years later when I walked away from a high-paying job as president of one of California's largest real estate companies to become a full-time speaker. That turned out to be one of the smartest decisions of my life. So the decisions we make are the building blocks of life. But do you know what I find really strange? Nobody seems to know how to make the best decision. 10 months a year, I travel around the country conducting seminars for corporations and associations. So I've had a unique opportunity to sit and talk to some of the most successful people in the country. Whenever I can, I like to have dinner the night before with the president of the company or the top performer in the association for whom I'll be speaking. It's a great opportunity to pick their brains about what made them so successful. As the topic of decision-making became more and more fascinating to me, I started asking successful business people how they make decisions, how they go about it in their company, what process do they use. What I found out was absolutely fascinating. Almost nobody knows how they make decisions. I saw people who had built empires, the very top people in their profession, people who dominated their industry. If their market penetration got any better, they'd be a monopoly. I'm talking about people who could commit $10 million to a project and not lose a moment's sleep over it. Even they would stammer and stutter and not know how to respond when I asked them to tell me how they make decisions. A typical response was, "We don't have a way we make decisions. Something comes up, we kick it around, and if it feels right and we can afford it, we make a move." Isn't that fascinating? How much better could they be at what they do if they just got a little bit better at decision-making? How's your decision-making track record? If you don't think it's very good, you're not alone. I'm sure you've heard of the survey the AMA took, which determined that business people only make the right decision about half the time. About 50% of the time they make the right decision, and about 50% of the time they make the wrong decision. Doesn't that say something for the strength of our economy?